I had a dream the other night where I woke up from the sound of myself yelling, with an urgency of a struggle to pull myself through back to the other side of life. There was a hostile, demonic, alien-like takeover, and I myself fell a victim to the scheme. It was a dark, crowded area, lit up by street lights, and buildings surrounded the block. It was pretty late at night, yet people were going by very busily as if there were a party in the vicinity or something, mostly younger people. At first, no one was around but me. I stood in a small area of grass, a square vacant land in the middle of the city block. There was a package laid out on a wooden crate on the ground. My memory of the dream already fading as I grasped for details. I recall small, simple materials as the package unraveled, and the material object seemed as if it was shape-shifting, as if its design sequence was taking place. For some reason, I knew it was an alien type of a cataclysmic bomb. I say alien because of a technology never seen yet, though a technology that has already been here and existed. Fear and panic rushed over my being as I pulled out my technical device from my pocket as I tried to call for help. But the screen of my phone was showing schematics of what seemed to be taking place with the device, changing shapes and molecular patterns before me, as the phone glitched into different blueprints as if trying to show me. At this time, the people began to appear in fast-oriented groups, all in different directions, as I tried to shout, "There is a bomb!" Many stopped in terror as they quickly warned others and hurried off. I shouted, "Call for help!" because my phone was no longer a calling device, as others tried to do the same to no avail. It seemed all devices in the crowd were being used by and for electrical currents. There was a panic as the object then took unsensible and meaningless shapes of fragmented simulations of harmless objects. When the people would stop and say, "Are you sure this is a bomb?" as they all began to look at me crazy and scoff, as I became the madman in the middle of the crowd. The nighttime warped, glitched, and fragmented as the crowd seemed to clear. Unexplainable electrical currents seemed to be tearing apart the reality of space and time. In the quickening of a moment, I found myself in what was a never-seen-before bedroom, but was familiar in this dream. My wife laid calmly in bed as I walked in, panicked, frightened, and shaken. The room was like that of an old video game, bright, colorful, graphic, with slight pixelization and neon lighting. The change in environment so quickly was startling, as if I walked through the door into the bedroom right off the field of grass and people. I was panicked inside the bedroom. I had to do something to warn everyone and try and stop this technological, alien-like weapon, some type of invasion. I'm not trying to make this up, but remember, all airwaves, frequencies, and currents were being manipulated and controlled by an unexplainable demonic entity. I knew I was the one who was chosen for this, to be here at this exact same time and place in this moment of history to stop it. Though now I could feel the currents of electricity jolting and shooting like lightning in patterns not known to man all throughout my body and in the air around me. My wife lay asleep on the bed in our arcade room of fluorescent light. I pulled out my phone to study the blueprints and schematics of what was taking place and needed to be stopped. At this time, a single cord of electrical current began intruding my spinal cord and making its way to my brain as I stared at the glitching screen, thinking I was receiving directions on what to do. In reality, I was being deceived into what to do. I was being controlled as the technology of current took over veins and arteries as my spinal cord was being taken over. As I began to fight for my life, knowing I was being destroyed by this, the pain was unbearable as once again I stared into my device for a way out. As rays of electrical current split the reality of this world, as I saw the last rays of hope to survive my own life and to save the rest of humanity unravel right before my eyes. As I writhed in pain, wife still asleep, and I didn't want to scare her, so I crouched beside the bed and the wall. As I received the answer from the screen, finally, I said to myself. At the same time, it was already mentally being implanted inside of my mind, as I heard while simultaneously the glitching schematic said, "Put the Bluetooth earphones in and end this all." where the pain was unbearable, as I could see the frequencies as the spinal cord takeover was nearly completed, as the electrical like prong, similar to that of a stingray but more alive, pushed into my brainstem. Bluetooth. As I knew what I had to do, as I pushed my earphones in and connected the Bluetooth. It was at that moment the full amount of pain and desperation took over the entirety of my body and life. My body shook violently with pain and seizures as I remember saying, "Pray in Jesus' name." The weapons of destruction were here all along. The demonic frequencies deceived so easily, currents in disguise and being held captive by man. Electrical stations owned by some elite corporate unseen entity, holding the power as if some sort of god. A technology not of this world, yet in plain sight for centuries. Time-changing modulators throwing all the world into a reset in history. Wires, metals, coils, resistors conducting their rituals, ruling over man, trying to own and reconstruct our vibrations of DNA. I prayed as I broke through the barrier of worldly flesh, as my body gave one final volt of electricity, as I screamed out in pain and agony of one last fleeting moment in this world. I awoke to the sound of my voice as my body slowly stopped glitching and shaking in pain, as my wife jumped and reached over with a worried voice to see what was wrong. I was alive. I made it, as I quickly told her the dream because it seemed so real. I had to get it out and chance I may remember it.